Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys go to war with Jalen Hurts and the Eagles. Let's talk sports.
Sweat moves you forward. Degree Antiperspirant is here to make sure it never holds you back. Clocking in, sweat. Lunch meeting, sweat. Biking home, sweat. Degree Advanced is for the hustlers who put in the sweat. The world's #1 antiperspirant with up to 72-hour sweat and odor protection. Degree, here for sweat. Try it today.
I can't even lie to y'all. You know, week 1 of the NFL has already started off with a great start. I predicted that the Eagles and the Cowboys were going to give a fantastic game to kick off the opening season, guys, and I can't even lie. This game was electric. I mean, you had Jalen Hurts just scrambling every fucking where. You had Saquon Barkley just fucking breaking off tackles that you think that, you know, the Cowboys would wrap him up, but they weren't able to wrap him up for the first half of the game. It was only until the second half of the game when they started finally getting some heat on Saquon Barkley. But guys, I'm shocked. I'm genuinely shocked. You know, all of the weeks leading, all of the preseason has been leading to is the Cowboys were going to completely suck. They were going to, you know, be completely ass, you know. And then I watched this game, and, you know, I realized something today. You know, they couldn't beat the Eagles. You know, the Eagles won this game, guys, but they put up a really good fight. And I'm not going to lie, they might have went to war. They might have went to the war with the Eagles. Now look, did they win? They didn't win. But I like all of the looks that the Cowboys had. And even if they lost, one of their defensive stars, Micah Parsons, guys, I think this Dallas Cowboys team is going to be a little worrying. I mean, this team right here for 4 quarters straight completely delivered an action-packed game. I mean, there was moments, there were some jaw-dropping moments, there were some heartbreaking moments at the end of this game when CeeDee Lamb couldn't make that final catch. There was a couple of catches he probably should have made, and if he would have made those catches, guys, there would have been a big-ass upset, in the Philadelphia Eagles. But that didn't happen today, guys. The ending score is going to be 20-24. And, I mean, look, this game was great, but there obviously was a lot of mistakes. First of all, defensive star on the Eagles, Jalen Carter, it wasn't even the first snap. Literally, the kickoff happened in the game, and Jalen Carter would spit on, Dak Prescott. Now, they did show later footage of Dak Prescott spitting at the ground. Guys, if y'all know, you can spit at the ground, but as soon as you spit on somebody, I mean, that's a full-on crime, guys. Let's just be goddamn real. It's a disrespectful thing to do, and it's also a crime, which is, kind of funny to see, the Eagles immediately start out with some crazy-ass fouls. They immediately get a player, one of their best defensive players, off the field in the beginning of the game, and then you see Prescott come in there and just completely wash over this defense, throwing really good passes. This running game was really good throughout the first half of the game. The second half, definitely, it finally locked up because the Eagles were forced to start blitzing. They were finally starting to, get their own blitzing and going on and going crazy. So, look, even with all the things that happened in this game, a lot of fouls too, a lot of Eagles fouls too against the Cowboys that made, them easily to, move up the field. They started at the 10, but, a couple of penalties later from, now one of the penalties was taunting. I guess now, the NFL rules, they want to, stop the taunting. They don't want to do too much taunting. I mean, look, taunting, it does cause, more issues in the game. So, you can see that. But in my personal opinion, I think that was a bullshit call. I mean, how does a taunting foul give you immediately a first down? I mean, that's fucking crazy. But, that made them move up already to the 30. Another couple of penalties later, they were already at the 50-yard line, and then Prescott comes in there and completely, scores for a touchdown. And I really like, too, their two scoring touchdowns that, the Dallas Cowboys they had was, Williams coming in there, completely going in there, completely doing his thing, absolutely killing it, running in there with that red zone offense. I really like that. There was last year, the run game couldn't even get going. I mean, they would get a couple of yards in, and they would be fucked. I mean, you'd be lucky if you can even get a couple of yards in last year from the Dallas Cowboys. So seeing the Dallas Cowboys already kind of run through this, Eagles defensive line was really awesome to see. And I really like that. And it gives me some hope. I didn't believe for a second. People kept telling me, people on the media, on Twitter, everybody, saying that, the Dallas Cowboys could be good this year. And I honestly never believed them, guys. But look, I really like the looks that the Cowboys had today. I think with CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, George Pickens did cause a foul too, which is pretty funny. In typical George Pickens fashion, you got to cause a foul. Just makes sense for the Cowboys' mess. But I think this is going to be a fun team this year. Seeing Dak Prescott look better than he's ever looked, I think teams should be really worried. Really worried. This was a close-ass game. And the defense from the Dallas Cowboys side, they made adjustments. They started playing more zone. They started moving in with more blitz. They were even, yelling. They were even yelling. There was a weather delay, and when the weather delay happened, they made some more adjustments. They finally wanted to unlock the blitz. They wanted to, really rush at the offensive line. And you saw that quarterback pressure. It was just so great to watch. So even if, Micah Parsons is not going to be on this team anymore, I think with the defense, how young this defense is, having Clark too on the defense, it all just really worked together at the end of the game. And it really shows some exciting looks. This was a loss from Dallas, but, going in, I think everybody kind of expected, the Eagles just to completely destroy the Cowboys. And I will admit, the first few drives, the first 3 touchdown drives, yes, the Eagles completely ripped apart this Dallas Cowboys defense. I mean, if they were able to stop Barkley, look, guys, Jalen Hurts runs in there for 9 yards, runs in there for 10 yards, etc., 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 runs in there. The first couple of scoring touchdowns were just Jalen Hurts just scrambling that bitch in there to get a touchdown. It was beautiful to goddamn watch. And then you had Saquon Barkley, making some good catches, making some great-ass runs. There were some runs, too, where you think that the Dallas Cowboys got to him, but nah, he just fucking, threw off some goddamn tacklers and just kept running. It was beautiful to see. That one-handed catch, too, really cool from Saquon Barkley. And also, getting that one-handed catch, but, not just making the catch, actually running in there for a full-ass first down. Great to see. So, even with all the elements here, a lot of elements were going against Dallas. But then, that beginning thing that happened in the kickoff, that whole thing that happened, it's sad to see. It's sad to see a player actually, destroy the levels of this game. Because, once he was off the field, Dallas had every opportunity now to win this game, and they had a lot of opportunities. Now, Dallas Cowboys, great looks, great start, but they really need to take this loss today by, the NFL champions and really now lock in with their defense. I was seeing some really great coverage. They were really covering well. They were really, making sure that, receivers weren't, being able to, have one-on-ones. But then Jalen Hurts just scrambles for a first down because there's no spy. There's no player, making sure, a mobile quarterback's not going to get on the move. They finally got onto that at the end of the game, but at the beginning of the game, they probably should have kept doing that too. So I think Dallas Cowboys definitely learned some things, and I hope they can continue to improve because I don't want to see this team completely suck, for the whole year. But I think a lot of teams should be worried. The way they played in this game today, guys, was really great. The Eagles came in there, coming in there with that I don't really give a fuck kind of attitude. We're not even Super Bowl champions. We're not defending anything. They came in there with this very lax attitude. Dallas Cowboys came in with such great attitude in the first half that they need to keep that momentum going for the whole entire season. And if they go for that for the whole entire season, they might be rematching the Eagles. They might, actually get up there and actually be a problem for these Eagles. This was a classic game, guys. This was an electric-ass game. So that's my thoughts about this whole entire, night. But now let's get into a recap. Let's go over the whole recap, guys. Let's go over all the drives that happened. A lot of good, interesting drives that happened in this game. The score was 20-24. Dallas Cowboys were almost there, but the Eagles, they squeak out, by 4 points. It was really great to see. But already starting off with the first quarter, we had a 9-play, 53-yard touchdown drive. And it was started off with a 7-yard run from Williams, which was just so great to see. Then a 4-yard run again. And then we get a 6-yard pass from Prescott. And then we get a 3-yard run again. And then we get this explosive-ass 32-yard pass from Prescott, which was just such a great pass. I was jumping from my seat, fucking completely losing it. I mean, goddamn. And there was a penalty. There definitely was a penalty. And then they got a touchdown from Williams himself. Williams came in there, boom, for that 1-yard, run in for that red zone touchdown. And then I like how the Eagles came in and respond with a 12-play, 70-yard goddamn touchdown drive. You had an 8-yard pass already from Jalen Hurts, a 3-yard run, a 7-yard run. And the 7-yard run, by the way, was Jalen Hurts just scrambling fucking up there. I mean, goddamn. 16-yard run from Barkley, which is just fucking insane. That's an explosive run, guys. I mean, that's over 10 yards. Holy shit. Then you get a nice 6-yard pass. And I really do like how, this whole entire game, Jalen Hurts was doing these 6-yard passes, And then, you get a 20-yard run from Shipley. Shipley comes in and gets an explosive 20-yard run, another 2-yard run from Barkley, sets up for Jalen Hurts to scramble in for a great touchdown. I really like that. And then we get to the second quarter, and Dallas responds again with a 13-play, 64-yard touchdown drive right here. And by the time you were watching this game, guys, Dallas was in.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
In the lead. All right, we start off with a 3-yard run from Williams. This run, reminds me of, the older Dallas Cowboy days of the 24 Cowboys. And then we get that 18-yard pass from Prescott. I mean, already moving down the field. We get a 5-yard run. We get a 3-yard run. Then we get a 26-yard pass from Prescott. We did get a negative 10-yard penalty. Another penalty, not a penalty, but a negative 3-yard pass too. Then a 34-yard penalty, which is crazy. And then 11-yard run, guys, from Jay Will. I really liked how Williams played in this game. I think Williams played so good in this game. He wasn't able to get the many runs in as the fourth or third quarter in, but I liked how he was playing in the first couple of quarters. And that should be an encouraging thing for Williams to improve throughout the whole entire season. And then Williams sets up again for an easy red zone 1-yard run touchdown. Now, this is where the game goes downhill for the Cowboys. Not for the Eagles, though, because the Eagles respond with a 14-yard, 65-yard run touchdown drive. Guys, we start off with a 6-yard run from Barkley. A 6-yard pass from Jalen Hurts. 4-yard run from Barkley again. 3-yard pass from Hurts. 7-yard pass again. A 1-yard pass. I like that 1-yard pass because then it sets up for an easy 9-yard run. And Jay Hurts scrambles that bitch for 9 yards, which is just insane. And this was also a play, too, where, the Dallas Cowboys, they were covering really well. They were blocking all of the receivers they could. But then they forgot about Jalen Hurts' scrambling abilities, and that man just runs up there for 9 yards. Then we get a 15-yard, and then we get another 15-yard run from Jalen Hurts. He scrambles again. Then we get a touchdown drive from another scramble from Jalen Hurts. And then this is where the Dallas Cowboys kind of lose me. They do some field goal drives. Some good drives, but when you end these drives off of field goals, it's not good. Because they respond with a touchdown again from the Eagles. A 10-play, 81-yard touchdown drive. You had a 4-yard run. You had a 51-yard pass. This was a fucking bomb. This was a fucking deep middle pass. And this shit just went fucking crazy. I mean, I was screaming. I was going crazy. 8-yard pass. Then we get a 3-yard pass and a 5-yard run, which was the scramble from Jalen Hurts. And then Barkley runs up there for 10 yards for a touchdown. I mean, damn. And then, the only thing the Cowboys could respond to was, a field goal. Makes it 20-21. So it was a very close game. Eagles end off the fourth quarter with a field goal. And that would be the last points that's scored on this game, guys. Overall about this game, I really loved how the Dallas Cowboys played. They played with some heart. You felt like, last year. It felt like last year. It felt like a circus last year. And this preseason and the offseason, we're trying to, frame Dallas Cowboys. The circus was going to return. But now that I've watched week 1 already of the Dallas Cowboys, I'm excited for the future. I'm excited to see if they can improve. Dak Prescott can, keep slinging the rock. Keep, playing, keep hyping his team up, keeping the energy good. And also, CeeDee Lamb needs to catch these goddamn balls. You are the best receiver. You're going to get targeted by Dak Prescott. Motherfucker, make some goddamn catches. Especially when it's the fourth quarter and this is game-ending shit. This could end the Eagles' fucking day, and you're missing these really great throws that Prescott is making. Now, I will admit, the last throw, that was very tight. Very hard catch to make. But he also threw the ball, deep-ass pass, right into CeeDee Lamb's hands, and the motherfucker didn't even catch it when it was in his hands. So these throws, these catches, they need to be goddamn made. Especially in moments like these, because you could have dethroned the Eagles. You could have dethroned the goddamn Eagles. You could have pulled the upset off. But again, the Dallas Cowboys fumble, and you see what happens. You see them just fumble the goddamn game. And it was very disappointing to see. But I like how the Dallas Cowboys played for the whole entire game. I like how Dak Prescott, even if it was on the fourth quarter, they didn't try to run the ball. Hell fucking no. They were trying to get a touchdown. They were trying to score points. And I like that. And sometimes it bites you in the ass, especially when you got a team like the Eagles that can, just drain out the clock and call it a day. They're the Chiefs, they're like the Chiefs in the NFC. So, when you have a team like that, it just really, drives your whole entire team crazy. But I hope this doesn't derail the Dallas Cowboys. I hope this is like a lesson. This was a close game, and the Dallas Cowboys put up such a great fight that I'm excited to see what they do in the future. Eagles need to play a lot better. But, not in the way that you're thinking. The offense doesn't need to play any better. The offense just needs to keep being the goddamn Eagles offense. The Eagles offense was like a 9 out of 10 today. So, the offense on the Eagles side, great. Great. But that defense side, that defensive side of the ball for the Eagles, you need to stop with all these fouls. You need to not give Dak Prescott an opportunity to win this game. And Dallas Cowboys defense, too, they need to play a lot better. The first couple of quarters, it felt like the Cowboys weren't even there. There was moments where, Jalen Hurts was making these easy-ass, throws. And there was moments where Jalen Hurts was just scrambling up the field and nobody was near him. It even caused a few touchdowns. So the Cowboys need to play a lot better. If you are going to spend all your time just making sure these one-on-one matchups can't happen, you got to take care of the mobile quarterback that can just move out. When there's nobody open, he's just going to move out and get yards. You got to stop that. So overall, rating these teams today, the Dallas Cowboys offense, I'm going to give an 8 out of 10. I think the Dallas Cowboys offense played great. Now, they just need to continue that momentum for the whole entire season. Can they do it? I don't know, But all I know for now, the Dallas Cowboys look great, and I hope they continue to look great. And then that defense is going to get a 7 out of 10. Nah, fuck the 7 out of 10. Because they didn't win the game. I'm going to give the Dallas Cowboys a 5 out of 10. They were almost to a 6, but nah, I'm going to give them a 5 because even if the defense, they finally showed up and they finally got them stops in, it shouldn't took till the fourth quarter for that to start happening. You need to stop that shit before this game gets out of hand. So I'm going to give them a 5 out of 10 on the defense side. Offense side is going to get an 8 out of 10. Dak Prescott played great today. CeeDee Lamb played great today. Even George Pickens got a couple of catches in. That shit was great to see. The Eagles side of the ball is going to get a 9 out of 10 today. They played great today. I really like how the Eagles play. 9 out of 10. The defensive side of the ball, though, for the Eagles, I'm going to give them a 6. I don't really like how the Eagles played today. And it really showed that, the Eagles are relying on a couple of people. Well, their whole ass defensive line needs to get to the line a lot better, needs to really wrap up these motherfucking players before, they go up against a team that's not going to, before they go up against a team that, in fourth quarter situation.
Breathe deep. Imagine your legs more limber in Duluth Trading Double Flex Denim. Envision euphorically squatting for that can of suds, bending for your toolbox in a state of bliss, lunging for your laser level on a whole new level. Relax and allow the flex to fill you with ability. Find your inner flex in Double Flex Denim only at Duluth Trading.
They're going to get a touchdown. The other team's going to get a touchdown on them. They're going to run the ball on them, etc. So they really need to tighten up their defense. But if they can do that, then, hey, Eagles is already winning. So hopefully they can just do that again. But, hey, I loved how the Dallas Cowboys played today. I really wish they would have played just a tad bit better. If they would have played a tad bit better, they probably would have won the game. Let's just be real. But, yeah, guys. How do y'all feel about this first game starting off with week 1, guys? I love this. I love this week 1 matchup. It felt like a classic matchup. Eagles pulled out the stop, 20-24, guys. Let me know, how do y'all feel about week 1? And if you're on Pandora, my Pandora people, we're covering the NFL for the rest of the year. So every week, every weekend, make sure you check out Just Entertainment, guys. Make sure y'all follow, because we're posting new NFL content every single, weekend and week. So make sure you check that out. And if you're on, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcast at, make sure you follow, turn on notifications, guys. I'll be back on Friday night to talk about the Chiefs and the Chargers game. It's going to be happening on Friday night, so make sure you check that out. And I'll see y'all later. Have a good one. Bye. The Chargers and Justin Herbert pulls the upset over the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. Let's talk sports. I can't even lie to y'all. Y'all knew my prediction. I did a prediction, last week. I said the Chargers were going to win this game. They were finally going to knock off the devil-ass Chiefs. And there was some things that happened in this game that were very heartbreaking, guys. But I'm not going to lie to y'all. This might be one of the best Justin Herbert games I've watched in a long goddamn time. From quarter 4, Justin Herbert fucking played his ass off, guys. I mean, this game was beautiful to watch. There was some crazy-ass deep balls from Justin Herbert. There was some beautiful-ass dime passes. There was the play-action game. The Chargers were one of the best that could do play-action, but they really showed today that they are one of the best at play-action. The play-action passes, the way that Justin Herbert was selling these play-action passes for really good runs, too. I mean, I love seeing the Chiefs completely lose. I like seeing these guys fail. I will always, on this podcast show, guys, for the whole entire year, we will be hating on the Chiefs. I don't fucking like the Chiefs. I'll be goddamn real. So this is just, a happy-ass day to see finally the goddamn Chiefs lose. Thank God. The score was 21-27. This was a very close game. And I do like how Patrick Mahomes really put this game on his back and said, you know what, I'm really going to make sure that we're still in this. But then, guys, I noticed something, Patrick Mahomes makes this deep-ass pass. Beautiful deep pass. I mean, holy shit. It was a complete-ass bomb. And you're like, oh shit, all right, here we go. The Chargers are fucked. Patrick Mahomes is ready to go. And they get to the 1st and goal and completely just fall apart. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is not making any passes. Travis Kelce is not on the same, wavelength. And then Andy Reid, this motherfucker, instead of doing a field goal, instead of doing a touchdown, trying to get the touchdown, he goes for the safe option and goes for a field goal. I just want to ask y'all something. Why in the hell would you ever go for a field goal after that explosive-ass drive from Patrick Mahomes? Why would you waste that drive on a field goal when you know the Chargers are probably going to win the next drive? And that's what happened. Justin Herbert scrambles up for the final ass play. Scrambles up there. He's backed. I mean, it's like 3rd and 14th. He's backed way behind. This is the chance for the defense to really stop Justin Herbert. And motherfucker pulls a Patrick Mahomes and just scrambles up for that 1st down. Wide open, too. There was no defenders like anywhere where Justin Herbert was running up at. And that sealed the game, guys. And I just want to ask this. Why the hell would you go for a field goal? When the game is on the line, and Patrick Mahomes clearly showed that the game was on the line and made that crazy-ass pass, why would you not trust him again for 4th and goal? He could have scrambled up there for a touchdown or some shit. I mean, something could have happened where they could have got back in the game, but they went for a field goal. And you definitely see it from here, guys. And I'll just be real. The way the Chiefs played in this game was just disappointing. I mean, this is 2024 Chiefs all over again. The penalties. So many goddamn holding calls. So many just offside penalties. I mean, they even had to get a player out of their whole fucking offensive line startup because they were getting so many penalties. And even when they made adjustments on halftime, which, by the way, I just want to say this. They took all that time. They showed up late on halftime, and this is what they deliver? This is what you deliver? I just saw them walk out slowly, being late, being in the locker room for way too long. You see them get out there all chilled out, all just calmly walking out after they just been fucking late. Immediately I went, I hope the Chargers beat their fucking ass. Because I look at this team, and we look at this team right here. I thought Patrick Mahomes was going to be back, and then this man can't even get a pass off sometimes. The only drive, in my opinion, that really, they had a few drives that they got some touchdowns in, but then their, kicker couldn't make the field goal for the extra point. And then once they, Patrick Mahomes got the touchdown and they needed a 2-point conversion to tie up the game, they also couldn't get the 2-point conversion down. So I'll say this. Patrick Mahomes, he tried his best in the second half of the game, but I think in the first half, I'm going to be real, there was a lot of things I did not like what Patrick Mahomes was doing. I mean, this man was making terrible-ass throws, really weird short fucking throws too that just honestly made no sense, and the only couple of deep balls that he tried were at the end of the game. I mean, I thought we were going to bring back the Chiefs offense, the high power and throwing, the deep ball, going crazy, In this game, they had to go back to the 2024 method and just do screen passes, bubble passes, boom, 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 wasting time off the clock. Keep wasting time off the goddamn clock because you're losing. What are you doing? I mean, Jesus Christ. It was just disappointing to see. Now, there was some injury. There was a lot of injuries on the Chiefs side. First of all, I don't know how Travis Kelce... First snap, this motherfucker runs into Xavier Worthy, which was gonna supposedly had a breakout year this year, and supposedly that's who they game planned on for this game, and Travis Kelce injures his own player, and he had to get out the game. That is terrible. And, I hope, Xavier Worthy is going to be fine. I hope he can play football again, because I really wanted to see... I think everybody wanted to see Xavier Worthy go crazy and catch, crazy-ass deep passes from Patrick Mahomes. Everybody wanted to see that, but we're not going to see that because Travis Kelce just had to fucking run into him like a goddamn bulldozer and injure his own player. What are we fucking doing? Now, besides all those injuries, guys, besides all that thing, everything like that, I do like how Patrick Mahomes really tried to put this game on his back. I mean, this man was scrambling for his life. He even scrambled for one touchdown. I mean, this man was trying to win this game. But I think what was going on in this game was it looked like Patrick Mahomes was really trying to win this game. But the rest of his team, I don't know what the fuck they were on in Brazil. I mean, are they jet lagged? Are they on drugs? Are they on something? Because they didn't even wake up until the fourth quarter. Why would you wait? Why would your whole team wake up? Why would the defense start making plays when it's the end of the game? When there's only one quarter left and you're clearly not in the lead. It just makes no sense in my opinion. I mean, goddamn. It's like, I'm watching Andy Reid get fired up, and I'm thinking, okay, all right, there we go. Andy Reid woke up, now he's, getting in the game. He's finally, yelling at some players. There we go. I think, halftime adjustments are actually going to happen. What were the halftime adjustments? It was just Patrick Mahomes carrying for his life. And this Chargers defense today, they played aggressive from quarter 1 till quarter 4. Why the fuck were the Chiefs defense only playing like this on the 3rd and 4th quarter? Where was the whole 4th quarters of defense? This is supposed to be the Sags defense. This is supposed to be the really good defense. I mean, the whole pre-game, the whole coverage of the media was talking about this Chiefs defense was going to do something. This Chiefs defense was asleep. I mean, goddamn. Justin Herbert was making wide open passes, some wide open runs, some wide open ass scrambles. I mean, where was this defense at all? I mean, what are we even doing here? So that's definitely a disappointing thing in my opinion. But guys, those are all my thoughts about this game now. But let's get into the whole recap. Let's go over every single drive. I won't go over the field goals. I've already talked about the field goals. The last drive of the Chiefs, guys, was when this game was 21-27. 11 plays, it was 63 yards, and this is where, Patrick Mahomes makes this deep 49-yard pass, and it results in a field goal. And I just think this was game-ending. This was basically going, yeah, I want to lose. I want to lose by the other team. I want to give up. That's what it felt like. Are you really not going to trust your number 1 quarterback who has put you in game-winning positions, has put you in 4th quarter winning positions for years at this point, and you're not going to trust him to get this touchdown at 4th and goal? It just feels like the Chiefs were, in my opinion, were losing. It just said, let's just lose. Let's just do a field goal and lose. So I think that's on Andy Reid, in my opinion. I think that's how they lost this game, because I think, honestly, in my opinion, Patrick Mahomes completely tried his best. He tried his best, but I think the reason why they lost this game today was not Patrick Mahomes. It's going to be Andy Reid. So let's go over this whole entire game, guys. Starting off with the first quarter. First quarter, 9 plays, 63 yards. This touchdown drive was just beautiful to watch. We start off with a 6-yard run. And, I like how this 6-yard run sets up for a nice, clean 33-yard pass. Guys, that's a few first downs. That is a big-ass pass to make, in my opinion. Then you get a 9-yard pass coming in. Then you get an 8-yard run from Hampton. By the way, Amari Hampton played great in this game. Now, I will say, 3rd and 4th quarter, they tightened up. But honestly, in the 4th quarter, Amari Hampton came in there and he actually, was really running the ball up too. So even with the halftime adjustments the Chiefs made, they were still able to start running the ball. We get another 8-yard run, a 3-yard run. We get some penalties going in, but then, Justin Herbert comes in here and just gets an easy touchdown pass. It was 8 yards. It was beautiful. I mean, goddamn. Now, this is where we started going into the second quarter. Second quarter was just field goals. I will say that. Look, I liked how Justin Herbert was playing. You had 88 yards. Great. But then it ends with a field goal. Chiefs respond with a field goal. And I do like how, I thought that the Chiefs were honestly going to get a touchdown when they came to the 4th and goal, but then a sack. Patrick Mahomes gets sacked, and it kind of ends that whole drive, and they just get a field goal. And then the Chargers respond with the field goal. And, I like how the Chiefs tried again with another field goal. They got 6 points, and then they came in the 3rd quarter, and they actually responded finally. By the way, third quarter, guys, Patrick Mahomes finally gets a touchdown in this whole entire game. It was 14 plays, 86 yards, which is just insane. We start off with an 11-yard run, and it was a Patrick Mahomes scramble, which was nice. Then you get some penalties, and then you get a 14-yard pass from Patrick Mahomes. Then you get a 4-yard run, 13-yard pass, 7-yard pass. We get some penalties, some incomplete passes coming in, and then we get a 15-yard run from Patrick Mahomes again. He scrambles right up there. 2-yard pass, a 7-yard pass, 11-yard run. Hunt gets up there in the middle, and I like that. And then Patrick Mahomes scrambles in and takes the team for a touchdown. And this is what I'm saying. Patrick Mahomes, he tried his best. He really did. But I feel like the whole entire team, guys, was not on point. The defense today was not on point. The coaching was not on point. What were we calling? The communication with these players was not on point. I mean, you saw Patrick Mahomes struggling to, to get his receivers in check. I mean, man, it was just rough out there. And by the way, I like how Travis Kelce injured his own player, and this man didn't even, start getting some momentum until the final fourth quarter, and he got that touchdown pass. Are you kidding me? Guys, it was 12-20 at this time. It was the Chargers get a 15-play, 79-yard touchdown drive. We start off with a great 3-yard run. There was a sack, though, but it was an 8-yard sack. But then Justin Herbert, like Justin Herbert does, and he took that sack yards right off and got a 14-yard pass, a 4-yard run. We did get some penalties coming in for -5 yards, 7-yard run, 15-yard pass, and then we get a 16-yard pass. These just 2 passes. These were deep-ass passes, guys. I mean, they were just beautiful passes to watch. Holy shit. 5-yard run, another 5-yard run to get that first down in, a 7-yard run. And then Justin Herbert, does a nice little left pass for a touchdown. And I just really liked how, the whole time, the Chargers just played with so much resilience, played with so much heart, played with so much passion. That defense, man, they were crushing the Chiefs. It was great to watch. Now, this is where the game got a little bit better. As we went to the fourth quarter, now it was 18-20. Finally, the Chiefs get another touchdown drive. We got 9 plays, 65 yards. We start off with a 5-yard run, incomplete pass, but
Good night, itchy eyes. Good night, sudden sneeze. Good night to your symptoms of allergies. Xyzal is the allergy medicine you take before bed. It provides powerful relief while you rest your head. Not just all night, but all the next day. Xyzal keeps working, keeping allergies at bay. And without those annoying symptoms disturbing your rest, you can wake up the next morning feeling your absolute best. Remember, be wise all, take Xyzal. At night.
Adobe Acrobat Studio, so brand new. Show me all the things PDFs can do. Do your work with ease and speed. PDF Spaces is all you need. Do hours of research in an instant with key insights from an AI assistant. Pick a template with a click. Now your prezzo looks super slick. Close that deal? Yeah, you won. Do that, doing that, did that, done. Now you can do that with Acrobat. Now you can do that with the all-new Acrobat. It's time to do your best work with the all-new Adobe Acrobat Studio.
Patrick Mahomes makes up for that with a 12-yard pass, which is nice. Then we start getting the run game going for 2 yards, a 4-yard pass, 5-yard run, touchdown, and Patrick Mahomes, throws to the right and gets a touchdown. And then you're thinking, are they going to tie it up? They're finally going to try to tie it up. So they try to get the 2-point conversion. And that 2-point conversion did not go anywhere. The ball literally just got slapped right out of Patrick Mahomes' hands, which is just crazy. And then you're thinking, all right, how are the Chargers going to respond to a touchdown, from the Chiefs? And they respond with their own 13-play, 74-yard touchdown drive. Took 7 minutes off the clock. We got a 7-yard pass, a 4-yard pass, 4-yard pass, 9-yard pass, a 6-yard pass. Herbert was just literally just slinging that rock for 5 yards, 7 yards here, 6 yards here. Then he gets in for an 11-yard pass. Then we get a 9-yard pass. And I really like how this whole entire game, everybody was talking about the Chargers being a very run-heavy offense. Today in this game, they were a very play-action, pass-heavy offense today. And I think that really confused the defense today from the Chiefs. I mean, they had no idea what to do. I mean, they were just getting completely killed out there. And by the way, when your defense is not even, when your defense is asleep and they're asleep for 1 quarter, 2 quarters, 3 quarters of the game, well, damn, that's going to be rough. And then we get a 9-yard pass and then a 2-yard run. And I like how, they had a 0-yard run. Hampton couldn't run up the middle to get the touchdown, but it was 3rd and 1, and they still trusted to get that 2-yard run, which was nice. And Justin Herbert throws it for a touchdown pass, 23 yards. This was a big-ass touchdown play from Justin Herbert. I really liked how Justin Herbert played in this game, guys. And I like how the Chiefs responded with the damn field goal. With a field goal, guys, that is how the Chiefs respawn. So, look, when we talk about this game, guys, I loved how the Chargers played. Offensive side of the ball was just great. Herbert played amazing. I mean, he had over 300 yards today. I mean, guys, that is very hard to do in the NFL. Who expected Justin Herbert to have over 300 passing yards over this very crazy-ass Chiefs defense? I mean, that was just beautiful to watch, in my opinion. And then you had the defense side of the Chargers, too. The defensive side played really great, too. They kept all of the coverage today. They kept all the receivers locked up. Patrick Mahomes couldn't even throw to anybody half the time. The only thing, the defense couldn't do was stop the scrambling. It's hard to stop the, Patrick Mahomes scramble from all defenses. But that's all he could do. And also, too, they made halftime adjustments. They started sacking Patrick Mahomes. They started getting those really critical sacks that really, threw the offensive side of the Chiefs really down. And you really saw it. You really saw it today, guys. I loved how the defense played today. I loved how the offense played today from the Chargers. I said the Chargers were going to win, and they fucking won today, guys. I mean, this was a beautiful day. So, I'm going to rate the Chargers today. The offense is going to get an 8 out of 10. I loved how Herbert played. Herbert, this man was slinging the goddamn rock. I mean, holy shit. Defensive side of the ball, too, is going to get an 8 out of 10. I really hope the Chargers defense can keep playing like this. If they keep playing with this much heart, this much aggression, able to really cover but still be very aggressive, I mean, guys, this is a really good defense so far. Now, we'll see as the weeks go on, but, already I'm loving the defense. Now, the Chiefs side, the offensive side, I will give a 7. I liked how they still kept in the fight. They didn't completely just let the Chargers wash over them, even though sometimes it felt like that. But the Chiefs, I'm going to say Patrick Mahomes, because the Chiefs, overall, the other team, what the fuck were the Chiefs even doing? So I liked how Patrick Mahomes really, bossed up and, tried to win this game on his back. But it's so hard to do to win games on your back when your whole ass team is just giving you penalties. Just giving you nothing. Receivers that you have are not making any catches. Even if you throw a ball straight to their hands, they're not making those catches. So, it's a really hard thing, in my opinion, when your whole entire team is not up to par. They're not playing well. So I'll give a 7 out of 10 for the offense. They tried their best to stay in the game. But that defensive side on the Chiefs, I'm going to have to give them like a 3 out of 10. What in the hell was the Chiefs' defense even doing? I mean, it was just embarrassing to watch. You go to Brazil and you just watch the Chiefs' defense, known for being one of the best defenses in the NFL, and they're asleep out there. I mean, there is moments where they're just making some of the easy-ass deep cross routes you can see, these wide-open passes, and you're just like, where's the defense? What are y'all doing? I think this defense needs to play aggressive for all 4 quarters. Why are we still in 2025 doing this bullshit-ass slow start? Oh, just wait, the Chiefs, they have a slow start. They'll get into the game as the game goes on. Why are we doing that? Why is that being coached? Why is that being rewarded? You should not be playing like this because, you're going to go up against a team like a playoff team like the Chargers that can score, that can win football games, and they're going to look at you and they're going to take advantage of that. They're going to take advantage of your sleeping ass defense. Wake the fuck up. I mean, what are we doing? So, I'm going to have to give them like a 3 out of 10 today. The defense played terrible. Offense, they tried their best, I guess. And honestly, too, this is a very, terrible performance from Patrick Mahomes, too. But honestly, losing Xavier Worthy and then, Travis Kelce felt like he disappeared until, the 4th quarter. So, I mean, it's really hard to win football games when your whole entire team is not a goddamn awake. Offensive line, too, was just letting Patrick Mahomes having to scramble and get away. Where's the protection? Why are we not giving Patrick Mahomes any time to make good passes? Why is every single play he's having to run for his life like C.J. Stroud out there? I mean, Lord mighty, and then eventually that costs him. Eventually he gets sacks. Eventually that Chargers defense actually breaks through and tackles him. I mean, what are we doing? So, guys, overall, I really enjoyed this game. I loved how the Chargers played today. I'm glad Justin Herbert and the Chargers were able to pull off the massive upset. This is big, guys. This is literally a divisional type game. And this, counts for, 2 wins. So, this is a very big game in my opinion. And I love how the Chargers were able to pull off that upset. Guys, how do y'all feel about NFL Week 1? NFL Week 1 it's going crazy. I mean, we got a Chiefs loss. The Eagles are winning. I liked how the Dallas Cowboys played on Thursday, but yeah, this was definitely not one of those type of games. This wasn't like a offensive battle. This was like one offense going crazy and another offense just completely missing the mark for the whole entire game. And, once you finally wake up and you start making really good passes on the 3rd quarter or the 4th quarter, once you start actually doing this stuff, guys, the game's going to be over because you're losing. You're doing all of this, but you're losing. It'd be different if the Chiefs were winning and they were, wasting the clock. They were, doing this, doing that, to waste time and then, make these small ways to win. But you can only do that for so long before another team just completely bulldozes you over. And that's what happened today. So, Chiefs play disappointing. Hopefully they can come back. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe the Chiefs' losing streak can continue. Will the Chiefs lose? Will the Chiefs go 0-2? I don't know. But the Chargers are 1-0, which is really nice to see. I'm glad to see Justin Herbert have a really good night, especially having a really good night over a really good team. So that's a really nice thing, guys. All right, guys, if you're on Pandora, my Pandora people, make sure you follow. We're covering the NFL for the whole entire year, for the rest of 2025 and from 2026. So make sure you follow if you're on Pandora. This sports show was made for y'all. I mean, I made this show in mind for y'all. So make sure you follow if you're on Pandora. And if you're on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast at, make sure you follow, turn on notifications, guys. I'm enjoying Week 1. We're going to continue talking about Week 1 on Sunday night, so make sure you check the episodes out on Sunday night. I was thinking, am I going to talk about college football on Saturday? I don't know, guys. I'll think about it. If there's a big team to talk about, maybe I'll do it. But don't expect anything on Saturday, all right? I'll just be real. I don't know. We'll see how I'm feeling. But I will be back on Sunday night to talk about all the action and my team, the Lions. The Lions got a big-ass game. And I'm kind of scared for that game. So I'll be back on Sunday night to talk about all the Sunday action. So make sure y'all follow, and I'll see y'all later. Have a good one. Bye. Ravens versus Bills. Green Bay destroys the Packers, and Aaron Rodgers might have saved the Steelers. Let's talk sports. Holy hell, guys. I mean, I just got done watching a goddamn classic. I mean, holy shit. I just got done watching this Ravens versus Bills game. I'm over here thinking for the whole entire game, I'm thinking, hey, maybe we're going to lose. The Bills are going to lose. My prediction is going to be wrong. And then the Bills come back with such a big-ass comeback. I mean, holy shit. I mean, this is just insane. But guys, I am going to have to tell y'all something. This might be the worst Sunday night of my life. Because the opening game with the Lions, the Packers beat their ass. And look, I was a little worried about the Lions. I looked at the preseason games, and we lost all of them preseason games. And I was like, I'm a little worried about this team. And then this team gets in week 1 and just completely disappoints me. But let's go over the Bills, the Ravens and the Bills, because that was the Sunday night game. That was the main game for Sunday night. We can go over that first because I just got done watching that. This game was fucking insane. I mean, it felt like you were watching, it felt like you were playing Madden 26. I mean, just everything was happening. The final score of this game, guys, was 40-41. The Bills were missing 2-point conversions over and over and over again. There was even an interception with the 2-point conversion. And you're thinking, Bills, you're fucked. Once the Ravens get the ball, it's over. And then a fumble happens. The ball goes everywhere in the field, and the Bills jump on it. And then we got a classic on our hands, guys. There hasn't been a game from the Bills like this that has come back from a 15-point deficit since all the way in the 1997. I mean, holy shit. So, classic game. Bills win by 1 fucking point. And these two teams played their absolute heart out. I mean, you had Derrick Henry going fucking crazy, running up crazy-ass first downs. You had Zay Flowers just catching all these goddamn balls. DeAndre Hopkins does his vintage-ass catch and catches the ball one-handed. I mean, everything about this game was just absolutely insane. So let's go over the recap of this game, guys. First quarter already, you already start off with an 8-yard pass from, Allen. Then you get a 3-yard run. By the way, I will say this. I really love the run game from the Bills. I do think it was an improvement from the last years. It felt like James Cook, he could run well. But today, in my opinion, he ran really well. We had another 3-yard run, incomplete pass. We did get a 5-yard penalty, and then you get a 17-yard run, and then you get a touchdown from, Josh Allen, which was really cool. Now, the Ravens respond with a field goal, so you're thinking, all right, the Ravens are not going to do too much on here. And then we get a touchdown from the Ravens, guys, from the next drive in the second quarter. You already get an 11-yard run from Derrick Henry, a 20-yard pass, from Lamar Jackson, 2-yard run, a 5-yard pass, a 17-yard run from Lamar Jackson. He's just scrambling fucking left and just runs up the goddamn middle. And then we get a touchdown from Derrick Henry, which was really cool. And then they score again. And then already, guys, this game is 17-7. The Bills are getting absolutely pummeled at this point. You got a 5-yard pass, a 49-yard run from Derrick Henry, which was just absolutely insane. Explosive, in my opinion. And then you get a 5-yard run from, you get a 5-yard run, and then you get a touchdown pass from Lamar Jackson. And then we just get a little bit of a field goal. It turns into a field goal, thing. Bills get a field goal. Ravens get a field goal. Bills get another field goal. And it's already 20-13. And I'm not going to lie, guys. I really think the Bills probably need to play a lot better. They need to open up the playbook a lot better. When I'm watching this game, I'm watching these guys, struggle on the first quarter, struggle on the second quarter. When you have all these slow starts, and we're going to talk about it later with the Lions, with their fucking slow start, it was driving me insane watching that shit. But, this is what I'm saying. When you do a slow start and you're getting beat by the other team, it's going to be hard to get back into the game. But then you have, Josh Allen that can change the whole game. Because, third quarter, the Ravens already start off with an easy 6-play, 65-yard touchdown drive. You get a 3-yard run. Lamar Jackson did get sacked. But then he does a 39-yard pass and then gets a touchdown from Lamar Jackson. I mean, goddamn. And this is where the Bills start picking up steam. And this is where we go, all right, the comeback is starting to come back, all right? Because we get a Bills touchdown. This is 13 plays, 33 yards. It was just a couple of passes, in my opinion. And then we get another touchdown from the Ravens. This was 4 plays, 68 yards. I mean, you just get a 36-yard pass from Lamar Jackson, a 3-yard run, and he just throws it to pass deep right to, DeAndre Hopkins, and he catches it for one fucking hand. I mean, goddamn. And fourth quarter, guys, this is where this game gets really interesting, all right? At the point of it in the fourth quarter, it's 34-25, and, the Bills got a touchdown to make it 25, but then the Ravens responded with another touchdown, and it was 40-25. I'm thinking already, guys, Bills, you're fucking cooked. I mean, what can you do at this point against Lamar Jackson and, Derrick Henry? And then the Bills do something that I haven't seen in a long time. They actually pull off a massive 15-point-plus comeback. Bills get a touchdown, 12 plays, 72 yards. I mean, these fucking passes were just insane from Josh Allen. There was even a pass where the ball bounces off another player, and then another player catches the ball and gets a touchdown. I mean, what the fuck am I even watching? Holy shit. And then we get another touchdown drive, 5 plays, 30 yards. It was only a minute. And by the way, guys, the 2-point conversions were failing. But then it gets the 40 and 38. And then the fumble happens. And guys, I loved how, Josh Allen needed to just throw just a 32-yard pass, a 25-yard pass. And then they just kneel down and get that field goal. And they win the game 40-41. This comeback was just fucking insane to watch. Classic comeback in my opinion. And the Ravens are going to be going 0-1 to start the season off. And the Buffalo Bills somehow fucking beat the Ravens. Honestly, guys, I didn't think the Bills were going to beat the Ravens today. I mean, the Ravens looked dominant as hell in this game. So, rating these two offenses, 9 out of 10 offenses for both. Defenses, too, both the defenses, in my opinion, are just going to get like a 5. They're going to get a 5 flat because, this was like a Madden 26 game. I mean, you were just letting the offense both of the offenses just completely carry this whole entire game. So, 5 out of 10 for the defense, but when you got a 9 out of 10, offense for the night, I mean, that's just fucking insane in my opinion. So I really enjoyed this game, guys, but let's move into some of the other Sunday games that happened. Buccaneers were able to beat the Falcons, barely, by the way. People want to say that, Baker Mayfield might have had a good night. Guys, good night my ass. Motherfucker barely won. Like, holy shit. But, I mean, look, the Bucs won. We can go over the recap for sure. I will say this. I did not like how the Falcons really played, in my opinion. I think both these teams did not play their best. Offensively, Michael Penix Jr., he's trying to get used to the offense and stuff like that. I do like how they got a first quarter touchdown. Buccaneers respond with a field goal. And Buccaneers do respond with a touchdown, too. I really do like this, too. And this is where they were winning the game. This is where I was watching the game at this point. It was 6 plays, 52 yards. We get a 3-yard run from Berkey Irving, 11-yard pass from Baker Mayfield, 8-yard pass. This was a no-huddle, too. I like how you do 11-yard pass. We do the no-huddle, and you get 8 yards, which is nice. And then Baker Mayfield throws a deep pass deep left and gets a touchdown. I mean, goddamn. And then, the Falcons tied up with a field goal, and it's 10-10, and I'm like, how the fuck is this shit 10-10? I need Baker Mayfield to completely cook these guys. But I'll say this, the Falcons defense today was playing really good, guys. I mean, damn. Third quarter, finally the Buccaneers prevail and get a touchdown. 6 plays, 32 yards. We get a 4-yard run from Irving. We do get an incomplete pass, but then they follow up with a 20-yard run from Mayfield. He scrambles left, which is nice. And then we get a touchdown, short right pass from Baker Mayfield. And then we get some Atlanta Falcons field goal action. Fourth quarter, they both respond with touchdowns. But, Baker Mayfield was able to get that last touchdown and win the game. So this is a very close game, in my opinion. But I really wish the Atlanta Falcons would play a lot better. I mean, if you're going to be putting the keys of the offense to Michael Penix Jr., you need to play a lot better than this, and hopefully Baker Mayfield can get even better as the season goes on and keeps these explosive-ass plays and just keeps winning games. So overall, rating these two teams today, guys, I'll give Baker Mayfield, I'll give the offense, not Baker Mayfield, I'll give the whole entire offense today 7 out of 10. Atlanta Falcons, they'll get a 6. I mean, they tried their best, but, you're going up against Baker Mayfield. What do you think was going to goddamn happen? And, defense side of the ball, I will say I'll give Atlanta Falcons, a 7 out of 10. I do like how their defense played today. The Bucs defense will get like a 5. I think they need to play better.
Building a portfolio with Fidelity Basket Portfolios is kind of like making a sandwich. It's as simple as picking your stocks and ETFs, sort of like your meats and other toppings, and managing it as one big, juicy investment. Now that's pretty good. Learn more at fidelity.com/baskets. Investing involves risk, including risk of loss. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC. Member NYSE SIPC.
Shaq here, spinning fast-acting pain relief with Icy Hot. Ice works fast, heat makes it last. Icy Hot, you're so back.
In my opinion. Now, another game that was just completely breaks my heart, in my opinion. Because, look, guys, these motherfuckers, the Bengals and the Cleveland Browns, I'm thinking, Joe Burrow is going to come in here and completely cook these fucking Cleveland Browns. And that doesn't happen. Guys, I was watching this game, and this game was slow as hell. I swear to God, it stayed at like 10 until like the fourth quarter. Quarter 2, the Cleveland Browns get 10 points, and then they get 6 points, and then they have 0. But the Bengals have 0 points in quarter 4. I mean, holy shit, they won by a field goal. I mean, goddamn. They won by a field goal. That's very disappointing in my opinion. It is cool, though, to see Joe Flacco, still slinging the rock, still slinging in for some touchdowns. But goddamn, you barely won this game. What is Joe Burrow and this team doing? You got Jamar Chase. Do something. Holy shit. Now, this game right here, guys, this is what I predicted. I said in the game that the Miami Dolphins were going to lose this game. They were going to lose against the Colts. And they lost pretty badly. I don't know why people were thinking, the Miami Dolphins were going to be good this year. I mean, they said, they got Tua. Yeah, they got Tua. What's left of him? What's left of his goddamn brain with all the injuries that this man has? This game was 8-33. I mean, Miami Dolphins making Daniel Jones look like a goddamn, fucking 5-star quarterback out there. Holy shit. And he's not one of those things. Now, I also predicted that the Jaguars were going to beat the Carolina Panthers, and they did. I always say, the Panthers, you always got to clap at them for getting a touchdown, maybe a field goal or two, but that's kind of all they can do. Jaguars are the same way, but if I'm pitting these two, cat fight, teams together, I'm always going to go with the Jaguars. 10-26. I mean, we start off with quarter one with 2 field goals by both of these teams. And then Jaguars pick it up with 2 touchdowns, which is really nice. Nothing scores. There was a weather delay too, guys. And then, they were able to get, a touchdown. They missed the field goal, by the way. But, the Panthers couldn't do anything. So, that's definitely something to see. Yeah, I just like seeing that. And then another surprising game, in my opinion, for anybody saying that, Drake May was going to have a breakout week 1, well, damn. Pete Carroll and the Raiders, they were able to beat the Patriots, guys. I mean, I loved watching this game on the side when I was watching one of the main ones that we're going to get into. I'm just kind of holding my, my trauma for a second before I talk about that game. But look, I like how, the Raiders, it was a tight game. It was started off as a tight game. They were both tied up in quarter 1. Quarter 2, Raiders couldn't get anything going, but Patriots only could get a field goal going. And then quarter 3, we pick it up with a touchdown and a field goal. Quarter 4, they end the game. Raiders end the game off with a field goal, which is really nice. 20-13. I don't know what the Patriots were doing in this game, but I saw Geno Smith absolutely slinging that goddamn rock, making some great explosive-ass throws. I loved how Geno Smith played today. It was great in my opinion. You always got to go, are the Raiders going to be good this year? No, the Raiders are not going to be good this year. Are they going to be a decent football team this year? Yes, they're going to be a decent football team this year. And another team that I really, is another decent football team that I wanted them to beat this terrible-ass football team was the Arizona Cardinals going up against the Saints, guys. This game was 20-13. I was a little worried because at the start, the Saints were winning the game at the start. So I was a little scared. But thank God the Cardinals came back with that defense. You got Kyler Murray doing his thing. I mean, holy shit, great. 20-13. Thank God the Saints lost. I mean, if you're putting your back on Spencer Rattler as a quarterback, I'd fucking shoot myself. Now let's get into a big game here that happened. This was supposed to be the Jets' revenge game, or the Aaron Rodgers revenge game on the Jets. This game right here versus the Steelers and New York Jets. Honestly, guys, when I predicted this game, I said the Steelers honestly better win this game because the Jets suck ass. I said the Jets suck ass, and then the Jets start playing in this football game, and I'm like, what the hell? Why the hell is, Hall running over this Steelers defense? Are they fucking asleep? I mean, holy shit. And then you see these New York Jets Justin Fields just throwing the ball everywhere. I mean, he's making these deep-ass passes, and where's the Steelers' defense? I mean, these are some wide-open-ass passes that I'm seeing. Jesus. That Steelers' defense got to get cleaned up because you cannot let a team like the New York Jets almost beat you 34-32. Oh, my God. Let's get into the recap of this game, guys. This game immediately starts off with an easy Jets field goal, and I like how the Steelers responded with a touchdown. We start off with a sack by Rodgers, but then we get a 4-yard run. We get an 11-yard pass from Rodgers, which was nice. 0-yard run, incomplete pass. Then we get a 23-yard pass from Rodgers, 6-yard pass, a 6-yard run, 3-yard run, and then we get a touchdown. Rodgers throws it to a short right pass, and hey, they get a touchdown. I like how they responded with that. And then it was like the Jets turned on it was like Justin Fields injected steroids into himself and to his running back, because then they responded with a touchdown of their own. It was 9 plays, 55 yards. You start off with a 2-yard run from Justin Fields scrambling, 8-yard pass, 3-yard run, 5-yard pass, 4-yard run, and then a touchdown. Justin Fields throws a deep right pass to Garrett Wilson for a touchdown. I mean, damn. Second quarter comes in and Steelers respond with a field goal, and then these guys, Jets, respond with a touchdown. We get some field goal action. Finally, the Steelers start picking it up again with a 14-play, 65-yard touchdown drive. 30-yard pass from Aaron Rodgers. I will say this. I loved how Aaron Rodgers played today. I liked how he kept the aggression. Even if he got sacked, even if, the defense blowed up the offensive line, Aaron Rodgers still played really good in this game, in my opinion. We get a 7-yard run, 1-yard run, 3-yard pass, 0-yard run. But I like how, all these runs and all these different runs sets up for a 20-yard pass from Aaron Rodgers. And then we get a touchdown pass from Aaron Rodgers. I like that. Third quarter, the Jets, they do respond with a touchdown. I mean, goddamn. At this point, the Jets were winning. It was 26-17. Fourth quarter comes in. Aaron Rodgers starts saving the game. 24-26. Another touchdown. Jets come in with a touchdown. It's 32-31. And then a field goal ends the game. So, look, guys. The Steelers barely won this game. But, I mean, look. They won. They got out of it. But I am a little worried about this Steelers defense. I don't know why this Steelers defense was so asleep in this game. Maybe they were just, scared to play in the New York Jets stadium. I don't know. Maybe they were, maybe they just looked at the Jets and said, I don't even want to try because you suck so bad. In return, these Jets really put on the gas. Now, look, guys. I do think this might just be a Steelers thing, so don't go thinking the Jets are going to, start winning a bunch of football games. But I do like how Justin Fields looked in this game. Overall rating the offense for the Steelers, I will give it 8 out of 10. Aaron Rodgers played great, making deep passes, going fucking crazy. I think, Aaron Rodgers going on the Steelers is the best option, if you want Aaron Rodgers to keep playing football, because of that offensive line. And then, the defense will be getting a 4 out of 10 because you let the Jets almost beat you. That should be a sin. I mean, that should be a sin, honestly. I mean, that should be a sin in the Bible. That should be a sin on the, I don't know. That should just be a sin. 34-32, Jets offense, I'll give it 8 out of 10 too. I liked how the Jets played. Justin Fields looked good. Their running back looked good. And yeah, I mean, Aaron Glenn coaching today, it looked really good. I liked it. Defense-wise, too, I'll give a 5 because, they were trying to stop the Steelers, but once you're up against Aaron Rodgers, there's nothing you can do. Now, another game that I watched that I really enjoyed watching was the New York Giants getting absolutely fucked by Jaden Daniels. I mean, that was just hilarious to watch. Already you get a touchdown, and then quarter two, by the way, they didn't score in quarter one, and they just got a field goal. Commanders respond with another touchdown. Quarter three, the Commanders don't score, but the Giants, have a big drive. They finally get somewhere. They start throwing, they start chunking the ball, they start doing their thing, and it only results in a field goal. And Commanders beat them. 6-21. Yeah, I think if you're, thinking the Giants are going to be good this year, you might want to put a gun to your head. And it only looks like, the Giants can only play good in the preseason. Looks like they're not playing good today. Jesus. Now, another game that happened, guys, there's a lot of games that goddamn happened, was the Tennessee Titans going up against the Denver Broncos. Again, Cam Ward got fucking smacked around by this Denver Bronco defense. We knew it was going to happen. But I will say this, Bo Nix did not play good today. The offense on the Broncos side did not play good today. Why was the Tennessee Titans keeping this such a close game until the very end? I mean, what are we doing? 12-20, Cam Ward, hopefully he gets better, but, Cam Ward's only Cam Ward, Another game that, I'm glad. This is my prediction. I said the 49ers were going to win, and people were saying the Seahawks were going to win. I just want to say this. The Seahawks kept this at such a close game. They couldn't even get a touchdown for most of the game. People telling me the Seahawks are going to be good this year. You can't beat the injured 49ers that just lost every single player that they got. They only got a couple of good players. Brock Purdy, guys. You can never put Brock Purdy down. He's always going to prevail in some way. Let's go over the Houston Texans versus the LA Rams. I mean, guys, this game was just embarrassing to watch. I mean, Matthew Stafford got that 60,000 yard, achievement. Good for him. Great for him. But that Houston defense kept the LA Rams from scoreless in the first quarter. They only got a touchdown in the second quarter, and they only got a touchdown in the third quarter. And both of these teams didn't even score in the fourth quarter. This game was horrible to watch. I mean, Jesus Christ. But I think nothing is worse, guys, than the final game that we're going to talk before I get off this damn podcast, because I've been saving this for last because I'm low-key scared to talk about this game because my fears about the Lions are officially here. Look, preseason I said I'm not going to have any fears about the Lions on preseason. It's preseason. Who the fuck cares about preseason? And then, the Detroit Lions play absolutely terribly in this game. The Green Bay Packers, guys, completely fucked the Lions up. I mean, it was 13-27. I mean, what are we doing here? It's just crazy to me. The Lions are scoreless in quarter one. They can only get a field goal in quarter two, another field goal in quarter three, and by the way, they're taking 8 minutes off the clock. They're taking 5 minutes off the clock. They're taking so much time off the clock that I'm over here just losing my goddamn mind, because how are you playing like this? They finally get a touchdown, but also this touchdown drive was Booth reviewed, and they said, it was a one-headed catch. It was a cool catch. They got a touchdown. That's a cool thing, but it was obviously way too late. Micah Parsons sacked Golf. My worst fears, Micah Parsons coming in the Dallas. I wish they were in the Dallas Cowboys. He should have stayed there, in my opinion, but he comes to Green Bay and completely fucks Golf up, which was just disappointing to watch. And then the defense today from the Lions were just absolutely horrible. I just hate how the Detroit Lions were playing today. I mean, the defense felt like they were asleep. Even if they were blitzing, they only started really.
Getting ready to step into your career era? Set yourself apart with Adobe Creative Cloud Pro for students. Hone your skills with apps like Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere Pro, and more, powered with the latest in creative AI. Students save over 55%, so you can build a portfolio you're proud of. Launch your future with Adobe Creative Cloud Pro for students. Visit adobe.com/students to learn more.
Don't chew on that, Max.
Cooper loves that chew, too.
Oh, now he's into Cooper's food. Wow, he is loving it. What do you feed Cooper?
Blue Buffalo Life Protection Formula. He never leaves a crumb. I love it because it's made with high-quality protein, nutrient-rich fruits and veggies, and wholesome whole grains.
Looks like we're switching to Blue.
Blue Buffalo foods are made with the superior ingredients your dog needs to thrive. Can your dog food say that? Visit feedbluefood.com to learn more.
Picking up the pressure, dialing up the QB pressure, dialing up the blitz at the very end of the game. The adjustments didn't even work because you got Jordan Love throwing these deep-ass passes every single time. I'm worried about the Lions. Maybe they're not even gonna make it to the playoffs. I don't even know. Hopefully they can get better. Hopefully. I pray to God they can get better. Usually these games ended off in close game. I said this game was going to be close, but this game wasn't close at all. The Green Bay Packers had this game in the bag since the very start, which is just disappointing. Lions offense today is going to get like a 4 out of 10. Lions defense is going to get a fucking 2 out of 10. What the fuck was I watching? It was just embarrassing. Green Bay will get a 7. I'll say this too. Green Bay's defense is going to get an 8. They played really good today. Micah Parsons looked so good today. Guys, how do y'all feel about week 1 of the NFL for a Sunday night football? I think we had a classic on our hands for Sunday football. And my Pandora people, make sure you follow. We're dropping new NFL content every single weekend. And we're covering the NFL for the rest of 2025, moving on to 2026. So make sure you follow for all that. If you're on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast at, make sure you follow, turn on notifications, guys. And I'll see y'all later. And I'll see y'all on Monday night. We got to talk about the Bears. We got to talk about the Vikings. I'll see you there. All right, guys. Bye. Minnesota Vikings versus Bears. And J.J. McCarthy ends up surviving. Let's talk sports. NFL Week 1, guys, officially ends with Monday Night Football. By the way, before we even start the episode, if y'all notice, my voice is a little messed up. Allergy season kicked me right after Sunday. You know, they said, you know, you were talking too much on Sunday, and I got the allergies on Monday. So, I'm sorry about that, guys. Y'all might have to deal with my voice, but I'm going to try my best here. Now, look. Week 1 of the NFL season has just been absolutely fantastic. I mean, there was some slow games on Sunday, but Sunday Night Football was a complete classic. And then Monday Night Football becomes another goddamn classic. I mean, holy shit. You know, the Vikings, the whole entire time, you know, we're thinking, you know, the Vikings are going to absolutely suck. And for the first half of this game, all the way up till the fourth quarter, J.J. McCarthy was not playing his best, but it was his first time. You know, he was a rookie QB. This is his first time playing an NFL game. And he definitely had first half jitters. He might have even had third quarter jitters, but I do like how, you know, Mike McConnell came in there and, you know, really pulled this quarterback in, pulled his entire team in and said, guys, you know, really focus up, you know, we can win this thing. And you definitely just see that with the play calling. You know, there was a play that, you know, I thought they were going to be running the ball to a touchdown, and J.J. McCarthy takes it in for a touchdown of his own. I mean, for a QB design run. You know, there's just so much funness that was happening on the fourth quarter. And then that defense, you know, the Vikings defense, they weren't playing their typical light defense for the whole entire game. In fourth quarter, they dial it up. They dial the blitz up. They start putting pressure on Caleb Williams. When you make Caleb Williams have time, he's obviously going to be able to make really good passes and really good drives. So I'm glad that they finally came up there and the blitz happened, the defense happened, guys. This game was just absolutely fantastic to watch. Terrible start for the Vikings. I mean, at the end of halftime, they only had 2 field goals, and the Bears were way in the lead. So that's kind of crazy that they fumbled this type of lead. And, you know, let's talk about J.J. McCarthy. You know, everybody was saying, you know, J.J. McCarthy is not an NFL quarterback. You know, they were looking at the first half on Twitter. Everybody was saying, you know, J.J. McCarthy's not going to play good. You know, there's a reason why. Michigan cheats. You know, here's the reason why. Look at J.J. McCarthy right now, the way he's playing. And then he gets on here on the fourth quarter and just starts slinging that goddamn rock, making crucial plays, even getting a 2-point conversion. Hey, look, Josh Allen could get a 2-point conversion yesterday. I mean, you see J.J. McCarthy easily do it. I mean, Lord mighty, guys. Quarter 1, the Minnesota Vikings had no points. Quarter 2, they only had 2 field goals. That's terrible. Quarter 3, nothing. It's looking like the Bears are just going to easily win this game. And I was like, yep, Vikings are cooked. You know, I'm going to start, you know, just going on Twitter. And I look up. And you just start seeing J.J. McCarthy get in rhythm. You know, he gets comfortable now in the pocket, and he starts making really good passes. I mean, that is just absolutely insane, in my opinion, for J.J. McCarthy to pull this off, guys. I mean, Caleb Williams was playing a good game. For quarter one and quarter two and quarter three, hey, Caleb Williams was playing perfectly. The play action was really working. The offensive line was keeping him protected. He was having time to get the ball out. And then Caleb Williams starts making some bad passes. Some things happen. Some penalties start happening. And it got kind of crazy because, in the beginning of this game, Ben Johnson was saying, look, it's all about the completions. I've came back from fourth quarter wins. And the funny thing is today, the Vikings come back on the fourth quarter with 21 points. 21 points. That's fucking crazy. I mean, god damn. So that's a really cool thing. The Vikings go 1-0. J.J. McCarthy goes 1-0 in the NFL. Caleb Williams starts off 0-1. I mean, damn. Let's get into it, guys. Let's get to this recap going. First drive from Caleb Williams was really good. 13 plays, 61 yards. This was a great touchdown drive. Started off with a 3-yard pass, an 8-yard pass, a 4-yard run, 11-yard run. I really like how, they kept, not an 11-yard run. That's why the allergies are affecting my eyes. 11-yard pass from Caleb Williams. Really good pass, by the way. 5-yard pass. And here's one of the things that the Bears weren't able to do against this defense for the first starting drives and for later in the game was the run game. They couldn't get the run game going. You definitely saw, every time they tried to run the ball with the Bears, it just didn't work out. But Caleb Williams really had to put this game on his back, and he really tried. 17-yard pass, really good pass, 7-yard pass, and then they get that touchdown pass, not a pass. Caleb Williams scrambles left and gets 9 yards for a goddamn touchdown. And then Minnesota Vikings respond with a field goal. Bears respond with a field goal of their own. Vikings respond with a field goal of their own somehow. Third quarter, we finally get a touchdown. We get 4 plays. All right, we start off with a 15-yard penalty, a 0-yard run, and then we get a 2-yard run. And then J.J. McCarthy passes short left to Jefferson, and it gets intercepted for a touchdown by the Bears. So he did throw a touchdown pass, but it was to the other team, and it was 6-17 at this point, and I was going, damn. Whew, rest in peace. But I like how after this interception, they really sat down J.J. McCarthy, and, they kept him composed, they kept him good. And then fourth quarter, something happened to this game, guys. J.J. McCarthy got comfortable in the NFL game. Holy shit. That's a pretty cool thing to see a rookie quarterback actually get really comfortable in the NFL and kind of put the team on his back himself. I mean, that's really great. And I like, too, the run game gets started. They start tiring out this Bears defense. Mason is running for good-ass drives. And then you got the Aaron. You get the Aaron running back going fucking crazy, too. Once you get the run game going, you got J.J. McCarthy making these big-ass passes, too, and they're actually complete this time. I mean, goddamn. They start off with this, 3-touchdown drive massacre to take the lead, guys. 8 plays, 60 yards. We get a 7-yard run, an 18-yard run. Mason was going crazy in this game. Then J.J. McCarthy gets a deep left pass to Jefferson for 17 yards. A 5-yard run, incomplete pass, and then J.J. McCarthy passes a short middle to Jefferson for a touchdown. I mean, goddamn. They try to go for the 2-point conversion. That does fail, sadly. So they couldn't take the lead, but that's some points. It's 12-17. Okay, we're finally getting something going. And then they get the ball again. 9-yard run, 14-yard penalty. And then J.J. McCarthy throws a 27-yard pass to Jones, and motherfucker runs it in for a touchdown. I mean, Jesus Christ. And then they do it again. Guys, they take the lead 20-17. You're thinking, all right, Caleb Williams, he's going to get back in there and take the lead again. No. The Vikings defense, they get the blitz up. They start really attacking the quarterback. They start getting some sacks. They start making Caleb Williams throw the ball terribly. And then they get the ball again to finish this damn game off with 11 plays, 68 yards, guys. A 19-yard run by Mason. Holy shit. A 9-yard pass, 2-yard run, a 4-yard run, 11-yard pass, 10-yard pass, and then a touchdown. J.J. McCarthy goes for 14 yards, guys, and ends this game. The Bears were able to get a touchdown, but it was already too late, guys. The ending score today was 27-24. This is kind of shocking. And if you are a Bears fan, damn, to actually choke a win like this, you were like the Ravens yesterday. You literally choked a game that you had the lead for the whole entire game. And then the final quarter comes, and it's like these Bears just completely give up. The defense is like done. The offense, Caleb Williams can't even get the fucking ball out. I mean, holy shit. Minnesota Vikings today are going to get a 6. Nah, I'm not going to lie to y'all. Minnesota Vikings are going to get a fucking 5. And that 5 out of 10 for the offense today was the fourth quarter. Because for the 3 quarters, the Vikings couldn't do a goddamn thing. So 5 out of 10 for the offense. But I do like the potential for J.J. McCarthy to get even better in the NFL and under this new system. And this is his first game. And this is his first game that he actually gets a win. And he gets a win by putting the team on his goddamn back. That is really cool, for a rookie quarterback. And then, defense-wise, defense will get a 5 because, again, the defense wasn't really in this game for 1 and 2 and 3 quarters. But the fourth quarter, they finally started dialing up the blitz. They finally started showing some passion again. And then they started ripping apart this Bears offense. So 5 out of 10 because they actually locked in on the fourth quarter. The defense needs to get better. We don't need these slow starts because if you start doing all these slow starts, if you have to trust J.J. McCarthy to put the game on the back every single game, that's going to be a problem, guys. Bears today are going to get a 6. I really like how the offense played today. I wish they would have played like this in the fourth quarter. They really needed to. But Caleb Williams couldn't put the game on his back to end this game, which is disappointing. And then defense-wise, I was really loving the Bears' defense. They were so aggressive in the first quarter. They were so aggressive in the second one. And even the third one, they even got a fucking interception. But I feel like the fourth quarter, it was like this defense got tired. It was like they didn't even want to play the game anymore. You just saw it. They gave up. And that's very disappointing. So defense is just going to get a 4. I think they should have played way better. If you play good through through 3 quarters, you need to play good on the fourth quarter too because the Vikings can easily take the lead. And it was kind of crazy how fast they took the lead. That is disappointing. So, hey, J.J. McCarthy's able to survive against the Bears. I thought he wasn't going to survive today. And he actually survived, guys. So let me know. How did y'all feel about this Monday Night Football game? Let me know. Guys, my Pandora people, if you're on Pandora right now, make sure you follow. Turn on notifications, guys. We're covering the NFL all year. All year. Even to 2026. And probably for the goddamn future. So make sure you follow this show. And if you're on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast at, make sure you follow. Turn on notifications, guys. Sorry I'm a little bit under the weather, I'm sorry my voice is a little messed up, but I'm trying my goddamn best. And yeah, guys, I'll say you have a good one. Bye. By the way, before I get off here, guys, I just have to address something. I got a comment today on the YouTube side of things, and when I try to do a fun college football recap bonus episode, I don't even talk about college football. I don't even watch college football. I chose one damn night to watch an OU football game, and I was a little relaxed, and I just talked about it, and I get a comment saying I should be more professional.
That's the sound of the fully electric Audi Q6 e-tron and the quiet confidence of ultra-smooth handling. The elevated interior reminds you this is more than an EV. This is electric performance redefined.
Your sausage McMuffin with egg didn't change. Your receipt did. The sausage McMuffin with egg extra value meal includes a hash brown and a small coffee for just $5. Only at McDonald's for a limited time.
Prices and participation may vary.
I'm a potty mouth. I use too much profanity. You know, kids are listening. And I just want to say, this is an adult podcast show. This is an adult NFL show, all right? The big boys are talking about football. If you can't handle that, if you can't handle me saying fuck or ass or shit or saying getting their ass beat or anything like that, you might want to stop listening to this podcast show because I'm about to be saying it a lot goddamn more. All right, guys. Bye.